All human troubles are due to two things. The first is wanting more than destiny allows. The second is wanting before its appointed time. These words invite deep reflection. They invite us to look into the heart of desire and to examine the way we relate to the flow of life. In what follows I will unfold this idea. I will trace its inner logic and show how it touches daily life. I will offer stories to bring it to life. I will give practical guidance for living with less unnecessary suffering. I will suggest exercises for the heart. I will explore how this teaching connects with wisdom from many traditions and with modern psychology. I will do this in plain language so that the meaning can be felt and used. I will stay close to the spirit of the original saying. I will not place it on a pedestal so that it becomes unreachable. I will instead use it as a lamp to guide ordinary living. To begin, we must understand what is meant by destiny. Destiny here is not a rigid chain of events that leaves no room for choice. It is not fatalism. It is rather the complex field of conditions that shape outcomes. Destiny is the combination of our nature and the situations we inherit. It is the network of causes that have already been set in motion before we act. Destiny includes our body and temperament. It includes the family we were born into and the era that forms our options. It includes the accidents that change our path. It is the wide web of circumstances that make up the stage on which we act. Wanting more than destiny allows is not a call to passivity. It is not telling us to abandon ambition or to stop striving for improvement. The wisdom is subtler. It tells us to align striving with a clear view of limits. It asks us to recognize when desire pushes past what is possible in a given moment. There is a difference between setting a long-term goal and demanding an impossible change overnight. There is a difference between cultivating a skill and expecting to become a master in a single day. There is a difference between forming loving bonds and forcing love where it cannot naturally grow. Wanting before time is about impatience. It is the urge to force outcomes ahead of their natural ripening. Many things must ferment in the darkness before they bear fruit. Relationships need season. Projects need small steps. Healing needs time. The mind that cannot wait trades sound progress for reckless shortcuts. It mistakes speed for efficacy. When we want before the appointed time, we create friction. We bend time into a shape it was not meant to take. That bending produces suffering. Consider a simple example. Two people fall in love. One wants to move in together and call it marriage within weeks. The other needs months of knowing and trust. The person who forces the timeline may create temporary certainty but will risk long-term instability. The roots will be shallow. The desire to accelerate the process came from fear more than from wisdom. It came from wanting before time. Another example is the artist who dreams of striking success. They compare themselves with famous masters and feel small. They rage at their slow progress. They may copy formulas to get fast results. The work loses its soul. The desire for immediate recognition defeats patient craft. Again, this is wanting more than destiny allows in the present moment and wanting before the process completes its course. A third example is health. One may desire to return to full strength after a serious illness overnight. The body has its rhythms and healing requires stages. Pushing too hard may reopen wounds. A patient acceptance of the time frames that healing asks for will yield steadier recovery. Here too the twin errors of wanting more and wanting before time cause trouble. If we look carefully, we will find that these two causes underlie a great deal of human suffering. Desire out of alignment with reality produces frustration. Impatience produces anxiety. When we insist that the world conform to our demands and our timetable, we confront resistance. The world answers with loss or delay. Our mental state becomes turbulent. The energy that was meant for purposeful action dissipates in anger and grief. There is, however, a difference between healthy yearning and the maladaptive wanting described here. Longing for a better life can motivate learning and service. The teaching is not to reject desire altogether. It is to refine it. It asks us to remove selfish intensity from wanting and to increase clarity. Wanting that is tempered by humility and guided by steady effort is a source of creativity. Wanting that is blind to conditions is the source of suffering. How do we know when we are fallen into the trap of wanting more than destiny allows? There are signs that can help us recognize the pattern. One clear sign is constant comparison. When you are measuring your life against others and feeling chronically inadequate, you are inviting the error. You are establishing standards that ignore your unique context. Another sign is repeated disappointment. If you set expectations that rarely come true, you are either misreading the world or setting impossible goals. A third sign is chronic impatience. When your mind is always rushing toward the next milestone without savoring the present, you are asking time to betray itself. There are also subtle signs. A person who constantly blames luck when things do not go well may be refusing responsibility. They externalize the causes to an imagined destiny and yet also demand outcomes that fate has not arranged. This contradiction produces resentment. Another subtle sign is the habit of trying to control every detail of others. This is wanting more than their destiny allows. It violates the freedom that each person needs to be themselves. Let us now examine the inner mechanics of wanting. Wanting is energized attention directed at a future state. It draws the mind forward. Wanting can be compassionate and wise when it aligns with values. It can be destructive when it is entangled with fear and insecurity. Many times wanting is a mask for emptiness. We try to fill a hollow with external acquisitions. The hollow does not close. The next acquisition only raises the hunger. This is the trap the saying warns about. A practical way to begin disentangling the knot is to cultivate clear awareness of motives. Ask yourself why you want something. Is it for status or for service? Is it to avoid pain or to embrace growth? Is it based on an honest assessment of your capacities or on wishful thinking? Honest answers are not always comfortable. They are, however, essential. When motive aligns with reality, the force of desire can be focused in noble directions. A second practical step is to develop patience as a skill. Patience is not passive resignation. It is active endurance combined with right action. It is the ability to persist with steady effort without frantic urgency. To train patience, practice small waits in daily life. Delay gratification in minor matters. Let a small request remain pending for a while before acting on it. Practice walking without reaching for your phone at every idle moment. These small practices train the nervous system to tolerate uncertainty and delay. A third step is to make realistic plans. Intelligence here means mapping the terrain. Break long-term aims into smaller steps. Allow for contingencies. Accept that progress will be uneven. This is not pessimism. It is wise accounting of the web of conditions that shape outcomes. When plans are flexible and grounded in a clear view of realities, they reduce the frequency of shattered expectations. Fourthly, cultivate gratitude. Gratitude shifts attention from what is missing to what is present. It softens the edge of desire. It does not extinguish ambition. It reduces the corrosive comparison that fuels wanting more than destiny allows. Gratitude is a simple practice. In the morning and in the evening, list a few matters you value in your life. Rehearse them. Let them form a stable foundation from which aspiration can rise without desperation. Fifth, practice compassion toward self. Much of impatient wanting arises from inner harshness. When you berate yourself for not being enough, you amplify the demand for immediate change. Self-compassion creates a tender space from which steady improvement can be possible. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend who struggles. Offer supportive words and patient encouragement. This recalibrates the inner dialogue so that it supports rather than undermines growth. Now consider community and social structures. Societies shape the tempo of desire. Many modern institutions reward speed over depth. The culture of instant recognition and social media rewards display. It encourages wanting before time. It produces a collective impatience that schools the individual mind. To resist this social pressure, practice boundary setting. Limit exposure to platforms that feed comparison. Make clear agreements with friends about honest progress. Build relationships that value slow development and deep listening. An important nuance is the relation between acceptance and action. Acceptance is not passive. It is a clear appraisal of what is happening now. From that accurate appraisal, you can take skillful action. The paradox is that accepting the present often increases the likelihood of effective change. Insisting on immediate transformation blinds us to necessary steps. Acceptance reduces reactivity and increases clarity. It is an essential ally for intentional change. Let us look now at the deeper spiritual implications. Many spiritual paths speak of surrender. Surrender is sometimes misunderstood as giving up. True surrender is a wise letting go of the illusion that one can force everything. It is in alignment with a sense of the greater order. This does not negate effort. It changes the quality of effort from frantic to steady. When a person surrenders, the desperate clutching in the chest relaxes. The mind sees more options. The heart becomes available to gratitude and compassion. In that state, action is more potent. A practice of surrender might involve a short daily ritual. Sit quietly and breathe. Acknowledge things that you cannot change in this moment. Then identify one small step you can take. Commit to that step without pressuring the outcome. This combination of acceptance and small action trains the habit of wise engagement with destiny. We can also examine the psychological roots of wanting more than destiny allows. Attachment theory sheds light. When a child feels insecure, they may develop anxious patterns. As adults, they seek reassurance in external achievements and relationships. They push for rapid closeness and fast results. Recognizing the origin of such patterns is a step toward healing. Therapy and reflective practice can help rewire these habits. When old wounds are touched with kindness, they lose some of their hold. Then desire can be expressed without panic. Cultural narratives also shape wanting. Stories about rags to riches and overnight success implant fantasies of instant change. They are seductive models, but they are exceptions rather than norms. A more helpful story is the story of steady growth. The craftsman who practiced their art for decades. The scientist who returns to an experiment many times. The parent who builds a family through small daily acts. These narratives honor process over spectacle. Work with time is another key area. Our sense of time often feels scarce. Modern life schedules us into tight segments. We think of time as resource to be maximized. This leads to forcing outcomes. Instead, we might cultivate an intrinsic sense of rhythm. Some projects need long, quiet seasons. Some relationships need repeated mundane gestures. Knowing the natural tempo of different domains is wisdom. An athlete trains with daily repetition. An orchard requires seasons. To map time honestly is to set kinder expectations. There is also a social justice angle. Inequality shapes destiny. Some people face systemic barriers that limit options. For them, wanting more than destiny allows is not simply a private vice. It is a political reality. Injustice makes desires more painful. In those contexts, the teaching must be handled with care. It would be cruel to tell an oppressed person to lower their sights when structural change is required. Instead, the wisdom can be applied to personal inner stability while fighting for collective change. Maintain large dreams for justice while cultivating patience and practical long-term strategies to bring them about. Now consider how the second error of wanting before time operates in the realm of meaning. Many people want immediate clarity of purpose. They expect to find a single mission early in life. Some are anxious if they have not found that one purpose by a certain age. Life rarely unfolds as a single plotline. Purpose emerges through experience and refinement. It is formed in contact with others and with failure. Expecting immediate clarity leads to frustration. Allowing purpose to emerge reduces suffering and leads to more authentic choices. In parenting, the twin errors show up frequently. Parents want quick obedience and rapid maturity. They are impatient with stages that require guidance. When parents try to accelerate growth, children often rebel or develop anxiety. The wise parent supports development within the child's own tempo. They hold firm limits with patient nurture. They teach through repetition. They model the virtues they want to instill. The long and steady approach yields deeper character than coercive speed. In business, leaders face pressure to deliver rapid returns. Boards want fast quarterly growth. This often produces short-sighted decisions. A leader who understands the teaching will balance ambition with realistic timeframes. They will build durable systems rather than chasing transient wins. They will invest in people and culture. This long-term thinking creates resilience. So far we have outlined diagnosis and general remedies. Now I will offer a set of concrete practices that readers can adopt. Each practice is simple and can be repeated daily. The accumulation will change the mind over time. Practice 1. The pause. When a desire arises, pause for 3 breaths. Notice the physical sensation. Notice whether the desire includes urgency. Ask whether the desire is aligned with long-term values. If the answer is yes, plan the next small step. If the answer is no, allow the desire to soften. This practice builds the capacity to delay action until clarity emerges. Practice 2. The time map. For any major goal, write down realistic time segments. Break the work into phases and assign generous time windows. Check in monthly to adjust. This prepares the mind for the inevitable slowness and reduces panic when progress is not immediate. Practice 3. The gratitude ledger. Each evening write 3 things that went well that day. Keep the list for a month and then read it. See how small improvements rise into larger trends. This practice counters the sensation that nothing changes and that only big leaps matter. Practice 4. The embodied patience. Choose a slow activity such as gardening or long-distance walking. Do it regularly. Let the rhythm of the body remind you that growth takes time. Practice 5. The community covenant. Find a friend who is willing to be a witness to your long-term aims. Share your plan and the time map. Meet monthly to report progress. Accountability that honors time prevents frantic accelerations. Practice 6. Compassion meditation. Sit for a few minutes and send kindness to your own struggles. Recognize that growth is uneven. Offer yourself the same gentleness you would give a child. Practice 7. Structural care. If your impatience stems from systemic constraints, then engage in collective action. Join others who work on policy or resource changes. Large-scale changes require patience and sustained organizing. Practice 8. Release ritual. When an intense desire causes distress, do a simple ritual. Write the wish on a scrap of paper. Fold it. Place it in a small box and set it aside for a week. When the week is over, open the box and reflect. Has the urgency diminished? Often the act of setting aside reduces the immediate pressure and helps you see the wish with clearer eyes. These practices support a living orientation that reduces the two main causes of trouble. Over time, the mind develops resilience. The heart becomes more spacious. The life that results is not diminished in ambition. It is deeper and more effective. We can also learn from historical exemplars. Saints and sages have spoken about the balance between striving and surrender. Many mystics have taught that insistence blinds the seeker. They practiced renunciation of frantic desire while maintaining a burning commitment to the path. Artists have taught patience through apprenticeship. They accept that mastery arrives through years of humble practice. Revolutionaries have taught the need for long struggle. They refused quick fixes and planned for sustained action. Each model shows how to couple desire with realistic timing. There are pitfalls to avoid in applying this teaching. One is to become passive and to interpret the saying as a way to avoid responsibility. That would be a misreading. The teaching presumes engaged effort. It asks for intelligent action in harmony with time. Another pitfall is judgmentalism. We should not blame those who seek fast change out of desperation. They may be wounded. Respond with compassion. Invite them toward practices that strengthen patience and clarity. At a community level, cultivate cultures that value processes over spectacles. Celebrate steady effort in families and institutions. Reward the teacher who shapes students over years. Honor the small acts that sustain life. This cultural change will reduce the collective temptation toward immediate gratification. Finally, let us imagine a life lived by this maxim. Imagine a person who carries a clear lamp of intention. They have broad goals and a patient temperament. They work steadily. They accept delays without collapsing into despair. They are kind to themselves. They do not compare their inner journey to the polished narratives of others. They invest in relationships with slow and repeated attention. They allow projects to mature naturally. They rest when rest is needed and return to work with renewed clarity. Their life is not a sequence of frantic sprints. It is a long horizon. It is a garden that grows season by season. Such a life has fewer needless troubles. It still faces hardship. No teaching erases loss, but the suffering that results from impossible demands and frantic timelines is reduced. The person gains the freedom to act from presence and not from panic. They widen their capacity to love and to create. To end this reflection, I will offer a brief pathway summary. First, notice your desires. Second, ask whether they are shaped by fear or by wholehearted longing. Third, assess reality with honesty. Fourth, set realistic timeframes. Fifth, practice patient action with small steps. Sixth, nurture gratitude and self-compassion. Seventh, engage with others so that change can be sustained. Eighth, keep revising plans with humility. The wisdom contained in the original words is simple and profound. It offers a remedy for a great part of human turmoil. By learning to want in harmony with destiny and in rhythm with time, we can reduce a great deal of needless suffering. We do not surrender our dreams. We learn to realize them with courage and with patience.